Our next guest is Doug Hewitt. He's with Richfield Oil and Gas. Doug Hewitt, welcome to the George Jarkesy Show.
Thank you for having me, George.
So, I have spent a lot of time in Utah over the years, and I've always assumed that there was a tremendous amount of oil in a place where when you're walking around, you're walking on oil. So tell us about Utah.
Some would think so. There are actually 65 billion barrels of oil that have made it to surface in eastern Utah. What's interesting is that according to the United States Geological Survey, between 1 to 3 trillion barrels have been generated in western Utah.
Years ago, and that wasn't very long ago, you heard of the Eagle Ford. And a little farther back, you heard of the Balkan. If I'd have told you about the Balkan in 2000, you'd have said, what's the Balkan? Today, you know what those are because you're reading them in the Wall Street Journal. All right? You know where the Marcellus Shale is. And you know that the American entrepreneur and oilman has done a great job, and I think a patriotic job, finding energy for our country. How about the Mancos Shale? You ever heard of that?
The Mancos Shale is primarily inside of Utah. It's as much as 6,000 feet in some areas. In one of the areas that we're focused on, it's approximately 600 feet. Excuse me, I said 6,000, 3,000 feet thick. The total amount of carbons inside this shale, in some cases, are much better. The pressures are much higher. And the depths are very similar to both the Bakken and the Eagle Ford. The difference is that both of those plays have about 200 feet of shale.
Mm-hmm. So it's going to be, you in your estimates, it's going to be much bigger.
It is, although that's not our primary objective for our company currently. It certainly is a tempting one to make a whole life about. It is a very, very large play, and one of the wells that we're getting ready to complete has about 180 feet of unconsolidated pay right in the middle of it.
Now, a lot of people have made life-changing fortunes in the Balkan. And, here you are out there securing land. Now, I know there are companies around you out there, but you've got a decent position out there, right?
Yes, we do, and it's growing currently. There's two major prospects out here. One is the oil that you are walking on, which is the old Mississippian, and the other one is some of these shale plays that are self-generating. The difference is that we're out here looking for billion-barrel discoveries. We're not looking for 50 million barrels or 100 million barrels. We're in the billion-barrel search and discover, and we've actually already identified one of them currently that we are beginning to put into production sometime this summer.
And what are those wells going to cost to drill?
Well, it all depends. When you first drill these wells, your costs are a little higher because you're going through your exploration process and trying to learn your reservoirs and how to produce them. The one reservoir that we've discovered right now is 100% saturated with oil. There's 1,700 feet of pay, and we are going to be completely focusing on the bottom portion of the system for the time being, and we anticipate to drill and complete subsequent wells about $1.25 million.
Let's just keep it simple math. They cost $1.25 million to drill, is what you're talking about, a range. How fast can the company, in your estimates, return that money if the wells hit?
We are looking for wells that produce in excess of 1,000 barrels a day. So we're talking weeks to a month type payout.
Mm-hmm. And now, what about the decline? How fast are the decline? Well, those are called decline curves. How fast are those decline curves in that area, from your expert's opinion?
Well, I think just to summarize it quickly, it's to simply say that these wells should be producing when our grandchildren are alive.
Oh, so
they're very large.
You think so? You're thinking it's long life oil.
Very long life.
Are you worried about government regulations out in Utah expanding, or you got a good relatively good environment there at the state level?
Well, the standard test we have when we bump into environmentalists, because they do exist inside of Utah and they're very active. We currently are mostly on fee land, so we've stayed away from the federal lands. Part of it's just the fortune of just what we've been and where the oil is. But our general response to them is how did you get here? What clothes are you wearing? And did you know it all came from oil?
All right. Well, listen, we sure appreciate you being on the show, Doug Hewitt. And Doug is Richfield Oil and Gas. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.